Hi everyone, Kupo here. Quite a long time ago, I promised to do a video tour of my build, Balamb Garden, but never quite got around to it. Due to the Voxelbox retiring its Pangea map, I finally decided to do a walkthrough of it before it's gone forever. For those of you who don't know, Balamb is a recreation from the game Final Fantasy VIII and was built in the late part of April 2011 for the Worth 1000 contest with the theme of video games. I typically don't like to work on recreations, as I enjoy having more of a challenge coming up with my own creative content, but I decided to go ahead and see if I would be able to build this place in under a week's worth of time. Balamb was completed in 5 days' time without the use of World Edit or Voxel Sniper to create the structure. The total square area totals about 250 by 250 blocks. The main building itself is around 121 by 121 blocks, and from its highest halo to its lowest point is about 100 blocks in height. Now that you guys have seen a nice exterior view of the build, why don't we start heading inside to get a tour of things? The main hall of Balamb offers players a choice of 7 different sections to visit within its first floor, and a central elevator that has a basement level, second floor, and third floor. As I was pressed for time, I only focused on making the first floor available, as there are multiple wings that would require a lot of special attention. Our first stop on the tour is to the Infirmary Wing. Due to Final Fantasy VIII being quite an older game, backgrounds were pre-rendered 2D scenes that gave you a fixed point of view of rooms. This made my job of integrating key points of view from game with my own creative content to make the build actually make sense quite difficult. I was able to match up many scenes, however, as we have right here, the room that you first wake up in the infirmary. It was extremely important to make sure that these recognizable views were showcased. Our next stop will be to the quad area. In-game, the quad is simply an open-air garden where students of Balamb can go to relax. In-game, you are only allowed to see 2 areas of the quad, the top floor that I've shown here, and a lower area, where a stage area is set up for a student festival. Instead of including the stage, however, I've set up the area as more of a garden with seating to make the area a little less chaotic looking. Next up is the infamous cafeteria. Outside and around the cafeteria on 2 tiers, I have included additional seating areas and landscaping so that the build does not just disconnect itself from the main garden structure. Inside, I have a larger scale replica of the dining area and the ordering area. And, of course, just to tie in with the game, they are unfortunately sold out of hot dogs today. On the northernmost part of the garden was one of the most difficult wings for me, the dormitory. In-game, you were shown only a few shots of dorm rooms itself, but I had to have a dorm structure which required me to be creative and come up with one that would work from what I saw of the rooms. There are 2 levels of rooms, one's for students and one's for seed soldiers that you later become in-game. Student dormitories are simple shared rooms with a central common area on the first floor of the dorms. Seed dorms are private rooms that include a private sitting room, a shared balcony with their neighbor, and a much larger room than the students receive, whenever they're there to enjoy it anyways. You might have realized that I skipped over the section right after the dormitories, which would be the parking lot. Size constraints wouldn't allow me to include it in with the rest of the build, unfortunately. Instead, I took the space that I would have used for that and instead expanded out one of my favorite areas, the training center. Building this room was probably the most interesting one in the whole build. It was extremely fun to create a jungle atmosphere with low ambient lighting that would give you a sense of danger while walking through it. Going up to the top level, we have the secret area, which I'll revisit after we make a full circle of the room. Coming back down to the entrance, I sadly wasn't able to stick in any T-Rexors out here, as they're just a little too big for this room. So now, back to the secret area. This was a place in-game where students would meet after hours without being caught by their instructors for being out late. You were never really shown much of this place, just an external view, so I always imagined it going through a sort of maintenance area. Building this external maintenance center allowed me to have the perfect angle and view that matches up exactly with key shots in-game whenever you were allowed to come out to this area. Now finally, on the last leg of our tour, we head down to the library. In-game, the library is a very open-air design, which I tried to emulate in the build with skylights and mixes of light and richer toned blocks, which I think turned out pretty great for how much of it you're able to see in the 2D renders. And with that, I conclude my tour of Balamb Garden, and hope you've had as much fun seeing it as I have had building it. Please remember to subscribe if you'd like to see more content, and also give the Voxelbox page some love as well for some more amazing builds from our server.